am I excited or what to be sharing this story with you guys.
There's points you actually see me when I'm wrestling, like say after I take like a slam, I'll like feed up and I'll do this. From when I woke up to when I got home, it was this constant back of your mind worry.
The temple is proper bad here.
Yeah. You question yourself, it's like, why am I holding on to this? Like, I'm still letting this affect my life.
It's such an amazing before and after. I've also got to give a massive shout out for Jacob. He donated this coffee and more using the Buy Me a Coffee link down in the description box. Jacob, man, you're a legend. Thank you so much. And of course, guys, do not forget the official channel sponsor, Leaf Shave, linked down in the description box.
It was very early for me. It was before I was 16. They were on like the computers at school. And then a guy who sat next to me, he turned around to me and went, "Oh, shut up, Baldy." And I was like, What do you mean, Baldy? Like, that's not even a good comeback. He's like, "Oh, I can see you're receding." And I was like, what? And then obviously from that point, it's like goes overthinking. I used to work at a trampoline park. They took like my photo and then I looked, I was like, oh no. That's when I noticed like the sort of temple bits are going back and like my forehead went from like here to here. From when I woke up to when I got home, it was this constant back of your mind worry of, oh, how does my hair look today? Oh, it's windy. So that's already, it's the worst day ever when it's windy. The first thing I did every time I got into work, I'd go to the toilet and check my hair in the mirror. Late 15, 16 was when it sort of started.
Been a sort of gradual thing for you. Have you noticed over it's been sort of 6-7 years receded back, and is it thinning as well?
Yeah, like you'll see the temple is proper bad here.
Yeah.
It's right in here. But obviously I've grown like these stupid side bits out. They just pop. It looks ridiculous. But obviously this hair doesn't start here. It starts back here. I think the point for me where it was really bad was about 3 years ago. I was like wrestling then and I was kind of getting to the point. I used to hate looking back at photos after like a show the next day. I just like in the moment you feel like this like, oh, superstar. You're in front of a crowd of like 300 people. You're like, oh yeah, I'm like living my dream sort of thing. And then the next day you look at the photos and you just look at yourself and you're like, man, that's not what it feels like. And people's camera flashes and then the lighting coming down. It just made it look 10 times worse. So that's when I started growing out, like the sort of these long bits at the side to kind of cover it up. When I turned 19, mid-19, 20s, that's when it just started proper thinning and there was just no hiding it.
Obviously, as it's progressed, your sort of way of kind of dealing with it has been to kind of use a certain style, right? A certain...
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it a style. I just sort of grew it out and sort of pull it forward. I've never used any of the, like the powder stuff. I would rather people look at me and go, oh, he's got a bald spot, then people look at me and realize I've got this sort of hair follicles. It's less embarrassing just them seeing the bald spot than seeing me try and cover everything up. I'm doing a show and then a guy, after like having a headlock or something, a guy's got like all these black things up his arm and then they're like, well, where did that come from? Like, oh no. Yeah. I trained professional wrestling, so it's not like mat wrestling, it's like WWE. I did that when I was 14 to it was mid-20s, pretty much 7 years. I sort of sacrificed everything for it. I worked like 1-2 days a week at like another job because I just wanted to concentrate on this like full time and make it something. So about a year ago now was like the last sort of show I done. I just wasn't right, like mentally and everything going on. I was overthinking and I just wasn't like myself and I was just so low all the time. When you're feeling that anyway, something like, your hair thinning just makes it go from like here to here, just makes everything like 10 times worse. When I wrestled, I never got nervous about going in front and performing in front of like 400 people. My adrenaline came from, what if somebody notices my thinning hair? Night beforehand, it used to be like I wasn't nervous for the performance. I was nervous for the photos the day after. It was September that I watched my match back the next again day, and I was like, oh man, like just everything. Like the hair was like a way back. There was a big ball, like the sort of bit here was like showing. But I remember that point, I was like, oh no, and it just literally. I just went down. I was like, oh, and I just felt so shit. I know, like most people be like, oh, don't be stupid. Like you're only like you can just don't care what people think. But especially when you're in that sort of line of like entertainment and stuff, it's like it absolutely does matter what people think. And I used to go training like 3 times a week, but eventually it started getting less and less, and people noticed that I wasn't training as much.
Right.
Because I was so paranoid about leaving the house, going on a train for an hour. But once you start sweating, and obviously wrestling's physical, so folk mess up your hair, and then I was like, oh, like I hate it. I'm so paranoid all the time and so self-conscious. I'll just stop it. Even if I say shaved my hair off during wrestling, I would still be like, well, maybe people won't take me as seriously anymore because I'm not as good a product.
No, I can definitely see how things like practice and the matches, which are supposed to be obviously the best part of it, being having the hair and worrying about that overshadow it, just completely ruins it.
There's points. You actually see me when I'm wrestling, like say after I take like a slam, I'll like feed up and I'll do this.
Really? Yeah,
It's bad. But it wasn't even on my mind. It was just so naturally, it just came. It wasn't even like I had to think, oh, I need to do this. It just happened. Another story. I was on, that TV show, Ninja Warrior. Two years ago, I was on that. This is what people like really couldn't believe at. So Ninja Warrior, if you fail the obstacle, you fall in the water.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. So like my one thing is like, right, I really don't want to fall. So did the whole thing. Obviously fell in the. I just fell. It's going on, prime time television. Millions of people are going to watch it. My anxiety is through the roof. So anyway, I fall in, and I had an interview after with like Rochelle Humes, and it's like the camera's on you, and it's like close up. Oh no, just so it's basically you're in the water. You get a towel for about 5 seconds. I was like, I didn't even dry myself. I like the hair instantly like got to make this look like not terrible. It took me over a year and a half to be able to actually physically watch it back. I could not watch it because I was so paranoid. It's like I don't want to see what like my hair looked like at that point. I put a photo. I was in the newspaper after it, and I remember my dad coming to me. He's like, "Oh, you're in the newspaper." I was like, "Oh, really? Oh, really? Like, oh no, what's this?" I remember I looked at the photo in the newspaper. I was like, "Oh no, why have they used the worst possible photo?" And you could just see like the thinning like up here, and I was like, oh man, it's like a big moment, and I was like, I hated every minute of it.
Where are you at with it now? Like at this point, where are you at with it? Thoughts wise, and how do you see yourself going forward with it?
I'll try and explain this in the best way. For me, like right now, I could go and just shave it all off. I could, but it's not about like, to me, it's not like how I feel, because I know I'll feel better about it. It's about how other people will feel about it. That makes sense, because I just fear that my friends, like my girlfriend and stuff, they all knew me like with hair forever. So to just go and take it all off, it's kind of like, I know this is like super overthinking everything, but it's like, oh, will they look at me and be like, oh, I don't want to like hang out with them anymore? Or even like my girlfriend is like, so I shave my hair off and they'll go, we don't want to be seen with you anymore. Does that, I know that sounds stupid, but.
So you've talked to your girlfriend about it, and she kind of knows.
Nah, well, couldn't blame her for like not being as attracted to me, But that's the thing. She always like, she's never approached me about it, but she obviously does know. Like, she sees me every day. I'm kind of worried. Like, obviously, I'm worried. Like, oh, I don't want to like shave it and then go out in public, and then people looking at like her point of view. It's like, oh, she's dating the guy who's only 21 with no hair, and then I don't want her to get stick for it. Then I don't want to put the things that I've felt over the years on her. What's worse, like this stupid like flop, like try to cover it up all the time, and it's blowing in the wind, and it's just like, look, it looks a mess at the front. Like, there's no way I can possibly keep that neat, or like just have none of it. I'm not even enjoying it. I don't like having hair. I don't enjoy it. It's just so draining, and I've got so much more to think about. I really want to do like fight scenes in movies and stuff. So I'm looking into like getting into that. If I'm doing stuff like that, I want to go into like full confident. Like, I don't want to half-arse it and kind of hold myself back because I'm so worried about, oh, how's it going to look at this angle, or the whole lockdown thing. It's been the most chill that I've been in 6 years because I'm not having to wake up every day and do my hair and try and hide it. I get to just like, I'm actually getting told to stay inside now, and it's like, oh, thank God, because I'm not having to. I don't need to go out in the wind. I don't need to worry about all this. The thing is, I've never invested money into it because to me that was always stupid. One more story. I think people would find quite useful. I used to work in the airport, and it used to be like shift starting at like 4 or 5 in the morning. I messaged him because I just felt so down. I was like, and that was the first time I ever openly told someone or spoke about it. I know your hairline's like going back and you're thinning. What, like, how do you feel about it? Because I'm feeling really shit. And he's like, like, is what it is, like, it sucks, but I'll probably just shave it off soon. And he did. I was trying to fix it and get it to look like good enough to go to work. Just couldn't get it to like look not like there was a stupid receding bit. I was like, I just can't cover it up. And I just had that breakdown at like 4 in the morning, and I called in work, and I was like, I don't feel well, I can't come in today.
Really?
And it took me like 3 days to get out of it. It was so bad. Like I was like, oh man, like probably the worst day of it. And that was last year. I don't even know why it affected me that much for it to come to that. Because obviously I lost out on a wage and everything. I lost out like because it was that bad, and I'd rather not get the money and stay at home and hide it than go out in public. Like one of my friends, he has shaved it and everything. So it's kind of, and he's obviously kept all his friends. He's kept his girlfriend. I know people look at it who aren't going through it and they go, oh, it's not that big a deal. Like just do it. But it is a massive like deal to some people.
Yeah, it is, and it's something you've been dealing with for more than 6 years. So yeah, it's nothing to sniff at all. But I hope that knowing that as well gives you the confidence to, in a sense, that like other people have kind of had that turnaround with it, and so there's absolutely no reason at all why you yourself can't have that same kind of turnaround with it, you know. Dude, I wish you all the best, and I hope that we can have another conversation sometime on very, very different circumstances. It's great to see you. It's great to reconnect again. It's
too, man.
It's been a while, you know.
9 months.
Oh, is it about 9 months?
I
right.
think so, actually.
I think the thing that for me, you know, when we first spoke and you were describing your kind of situation, you know, I think it really painted the relatable picture of you know, not being able to concentrate on things that you were passionate about. And like always, I'm really here primarily to listen. So I mean, I don't know where you want to start.
When we spoke last, it was kind of like you were someone to speak about it with, because there's no one else who I knew who was like, who would understand. So it's kind of just to like the kind of first step of getting it off my chest to kind of then, because I think the process of going through with it started after we spoke. You question yourself, as like, why am I holding on to this? Like, I'm still letting this affect my life for no reason, but I'm letting it happen. You don't know how you'll feel once it's happened. It was just one day I looked in the mirror, I was like, you've got these long bits, you're like, what is this? Like, what is this? As soon as I did it, I was like, there was no regrets of like, oh no, like it wasn't even, there was no hesitation in that moment, which was weird. Like I thought it was going to be this, like I'd start and it's like, oh no, but like every day I was looking in the mirror and like checking like, oh, it's like, it's so bad. Getting to a point where I was less kind of depressed about it and less embarrassed and less like unconfident. It was more like just looking, being like, it was a slow acceptance of like, this is it now. I think it was the night before I went for like a run late at night, and I remember looking in the mirror after it and I was like sweating, like I obviously took my hat off and I was like sweating, and I was like, just because it looked so bad, like so bad. Again, it's like it wasn't even to a point where I was like anxious or depressed about it. I was already past that, but I still had the hair on. I was like, well, and then that's why the next day I could just shave it off. And then as soon as I seen it, I was like, what was the past 7 years of my life worrying about it worth? Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. And I was thinking of all these situations I'd been in when I felt so unconfident and so like down about myself, and I didn't want to go out to this place because of it, and I didn't do this thing because of it. And it's like, I can't believe I went through all that time in high school and like work and just going out and just being completely like paranoid like the whole time. Like it stops you, like it stopped me from enjoying things, because it's like, it's that dread of, oh, I've got to go out, meaning I've got to think about this the whole time. So like as soon as it came off, I was like, this is like ridiculous. Like I just spent 7 years worrying about something that I'm over within 5 minutes. And that's for me personally. Like obviously people are different, but literally as soon as it was gone, I was like, look, like that's it, like never have to worry about it again. And I don't, like, because there's nothing there to worry about now. But see, before it's like I'd wear the hat, and if like I don't have that fear of it possibly coming off anymore. That's gone. So I never feel anxious when I'm out, because, oh, what if the wind blows my hat off now? But who cares? Like there's nothing there to hide anymore. Before I used to wake up and like, because obviously when I'm sleeping it like rearranges like the bits at the side were like back here, so it exposed this part of forehead. As soon as I woke up, I'd like fix it, and like now it's like I don't even need to like my posture is better as well. I've noticed, like, because I'm not like trying to like be unnoticed. I'm not trying to like hide away from everything. I'm kind of like, before I used to like hunch more and like look down because I didn't want to grab this attention, but now I'm like, well, what have I possibly got to hide now? I'm not hiding anything. So yeah, just as overall since we last spoke, it's totally changed. Like again, because there's no worries now, I can just move on and do everything.
It's brilliant. All the stuff you'd have been experiencing before in the wrestling matches and the practice and things like that, right, was like, in your head when you're trying to process that, you almost like kind of rationalize it and things like that. And I'm, you know, when you actually speak it out and you hear it, you're like, man, like, is that what I'm really doing? Or like,
Yeah, I
wow,
know.
did I really do that? You know, but it's then that you can start to kind of question it, you know,
Yeah,
and start
like
to think
what
like,
match? Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, and you're like, maybe there's a better way here. But I know for you, one of the biggest things was your missus, right? Your girlfriend. What's she gonna think?
I just did it, and she came home when I was like mid doing it because I had to stop. So like it was this long bit at the back and stuff, and I was like, oh, I can't do this myself. She walked in, she was like, oh, you're shaving your hair off, and I was like, yeah, can you just get the back? And that was it. It wasn't this like, why are you doing that? Like, oh my god, like what's this? What's that? Oh, I don't. You didn't like, you know, it wasn't.
Yeah,
There's no question or anything. It was just like, oh, cool. And then like even today, before she left for work, I just like did like a one all over again, and she just helped me with fit the back and stuff. Like, there's no issue. She likes it.
good.
So it was never, again, it's this worry of like what people think, but it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. And I even said like, even looking back, I actually looked back at photos from 3 months ago, and I don't even recognize the person in those photos anymore. It's like what was like, it doesn't even like, even like last year, I got like a memories photo come up. I was like that was me. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm.
I just don't see myself like that anymore. And it's just like, I know I look better like this than with this stupid long bit, but it was longer on one side than the other.
Yeah,
Oh man, it's just, and even like things like every morning waking up with that anxiety of knowing you have to go in the shower, wash it, put wax in it, fix it, and if it's windy, and no, wait, wind used to be an issue, not anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's mad. Once you come over that part, you're like, you look back and you're like, what was I thinking? But
yeah.
again, like 7 years was such a long time just worrying about everything. Like when I've shaved it off, I just like sent like a Snapchat to like just like my friends like who I'll talk to, and then they're just like, oh, like cool. Like no one was like, it looks shit, you look dumb, you look this, none of that. It was just like, oh, okay. It was just like, right, next day it's just like they move on. It's not like, it's not an issue to anyone's life.
Yeah.
Like, so it's good having that list, like the, like people to just kind of shrug like, oh, okay.
It's strange though, isn't it? When before you're kind of thinking like, oh, if I do it, are people gonna give me those shock
Yep.
reactions? Are they gonna be like, what the hell have you done? And then you show them and they're like, all right, sweet. Like, why do I care? And you're like,
No, exactly.
wait,
It's
what?
just
Like, didn't you care
you
about this? You
you
know?
expect it to be like everyone pointing at you in the street being like, oh, look, but you know, it's not. And yeah, it's just, again, it's made me just concentrate on other stuff, like obviously like, you know, like fitness and the gym and stuff.
Yeah.
I built my own gym and stuff like that. Like, because I'm not worrying about this, I can concentrate more on like everything else.
You'd done the wrestling thing, and you were probably in a position where, you know, when we spoke last year, feeling a little bit stuck, you know, in terms of like where your energy was going. And
Yeah.
I'm sure the hair thing was playing a part in that, you know. And
Mhm.
once you've got the kind of, you've got that out of the way, and you're more clear to think about things that you actually want to do, you know. And that's when you hit me up and you were like, look, I'm into this stuntman stuff. You were like really
Yeah.
hammering, you know, all different aspects of fitness and things like that, which is fantastic. And again, you know, it really goes to show that this like kind of step of just kind of cutting the hair loss, the balding, all that situation, just cutting it off and get like, not just dealing with it, but not just like accepting it in a sense, but like just literally just like it's not a thing anymore.
Yeah,
You know,
just
just
completely moving on. Yeah.
moving on. Yeah, completely moving on. Frees up so
Mhm.
much like other time and energy.
And
So
it does though.
tell me a little bit more about that.
It's this constant burden on like everything you do in your life. So you have to think about, oh, well, you want to do this, but you're gonna, when you do this, you're gonna have to worry about your hair. Do you know? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So it's
yeah,
like, so he's like, you, that sounds like a good idea, but there's this like voice in your head like, oh, but you'd have to think about your hair though. Oh, I can't do that. You know?
yeah.
That's the kind of sad reality of it that people
It's
don't really get.
no, it's I'm gonna let you finish, but it's like I spoke to a guy the other day, right? And he was trying to change careers. He was like, right, I'm moving areas, I need a new job.
Mm.
And he was like only applying for jobs that he knew he would be able to wear a hat in, you know, because
Yeah,
that
totally
was where
understand
it
that.
was, you
Yeah, literally the exact same as him. I started a new job just before COVID, because obviously I've been working from home since, which I love because my anxiety was like settled down. It's like, oh, like I don't have to leave the house, because I wasn't allowed to wear a hat at my job. I was overthinking, being like, oh no, one day we're going to have to go back into like the offices and I can't wear a hat again. Like, oh no. And then I was actually getting to that same point where I was just like, I've got such a good job right now, like I'm in such a good position. I was willing to like, I was contemplating giving that up for just to find some job I hated, but I got to like wear a hat, and it
Yeah.
like genuinely, I was like, what am I thinking? Like, shut
Mm.
up! Like, what is so ridiculous?
Yeah.
When
Trying to
I totally
rationalize it
understand,
like that.
especially where
Yeah.
he came from. Like people won't realize. Like people who haven't went through this issue just look at that and go, "Oh, don't be so stupid." Like, but it's a really like
Yeah.
mentally it
It's genuine. Yeah.
destroys you. It does.
Yeah.
As I said before, like you're kind of stuck and you're not really. You have to think about all these like what situations will you be in to worry about it. I never really. I think you. And I think maybe one of my mates I spoke about it with, but that was it. Like
Yeah.
this was like I did not speak to my family about this, did not speak to it was slowly like destroying like everything, like see mentally just it was horrendous, and obviously mentally thinking about that all the time builds everything else in your life up, and it's just you just think everything's just so overwhelming, and your brain hurts because it's like you're constant, it's just constant nag leading up to before I was going to shave it. When I was like getting over it and not even thinking about it anymore, that's when I started like that's when I kind of realized like when I was thinking about like the future and stuff, I stopped thinking about my hair whilst I was thinking about that. I think
Right.
that's I knew I was getting over it, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because it was
Yeah.
like I was thinking, oh, I want to go do this, like I want to go do that, but then there was never a thought coming afterwards of, oh, but what about your hair in that situation? That was
Yeah.
gone before I shaved it. So
Yeah.
then that's I think it was a slow realization of nothing, it does not matter, and then that's obviously when it came to shaving it, that's why I didn't feel any sort of like hesitation or regret afterwards. It was just
Yeah.
like that's it. And again, like when I look back at photos from even a few months ago, like I don't even recognize the guy.
That bit's really key as well, you know, because I was similar, right? My biggest consideration, I think, when I was like, right, where am I going with this hair stuff? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I was sick and tired of feeling like rubbish about it all the time, you know, and I was like, look, we're out here, I've moved to a different country, I'm trying to do all this different stuff, and every day I'm letting this whole hair situation like
Just affect everything.
just affect everything. Just I'm in a constant like low mood. I was like you. I was, you know, trying to sort of get away from people, not making eye contact and things. And I was just like, this has got to stop. And I thought about all the things that I wanted to do in the future, you know. And I was like, taking it into consideration, and it just became apparent that that stuff was way more important to me than I need this hair, you know, or and thinking like, right, if I want to do those things, do I need hair for that? And I was like, well, look, logically, absolutely not,
exactly,
you know.
yeah.
And then yeah, for me, it was pretty much with that consideration that I just made peace with it there and then, you know. And I was like, and then okay, well, the logical thing then is just cut my ties with it, get rid of it, and move on, you know. And eventually I did when that moment felt right. So, dude, I can completely relate to that 100%. The other things that you want to be doing as a young, hungry 20-year-old, 20-something, you know, just have so much more importance, you know. Once you start focusing on those, the hair situation just kind of dwindles away a little bit, enough for you to like you said, kind of take control of it. Yeah.
Because it's that constant fear of like, what if somebody mentions something and then the whole group are like, you know, it's like but it's people don't understand these situations, like people, like even your mates, like they'll have digs and stuff. They put you in like your nightmare situation and they don't even realize it.
I've said it again a few times. My biggest fear was someone calling me out on it.
Yep.
You know, someone else noticing, like, dude, like in the middle of the class or whatever, like, Harry, like, are you going bald? Like, what's going on with your hair, mate? I would have been mortified. Like, literally, that was my absolute worst nightmare, and that is the thing that drove all the other behaviours, you know. And I think that is the feeling that that so many men, you know, probably the main thing, isn't it? It's like you feel embarrassed about it, and this thing of losing your hair is embarrassing. It makes you feel weak, it makes you feel less of a man, or however you know, you want to describe that. And then to have this fear of like to have other people notice that and know that you're going bald, that's like the worst, you know. For other people to know or to see that you are going bald, man, that is I mean, it's what it's all about, isn't it? You think about all the stuff that goes into hiding it, you know, all the powders, the hats, the hairstyles, the surgeries. It's all to make it look like you're not going bald, you know. So that kind of like, okay, I think this looks acceptable now. hopefully people won't notice, and you can kind of try to get through it, you know, get through the day, get through these activities, like, oh shit, is someone going to actually see this? But
Yeah.
it's just constant
That's
when you're dealing
the
with
thing.
it.
That's the thing, because people think it's like oh, like you sort your hair out in the morning, that's it. It's like, no, that's like the beginning of your day. It's like you sort it out to just be able to leave the house. And then you've got, what's the weather like? Oh, it's windy. So then once like you're in the wind, when you get to like wherever you're going, the first thing you do, you find a mirror, you sort it out, because it's like you can't keep going until this is done. Right, sorted again. Next thing, you're back outside, more wind. You're on like the bus,
Yeah.
need to fix it, and it's like this. It's the whole day. It's these little kind of bits of like kind of almost checkpoints of when you've got to think like fix it until you go home. And then again, when I was going through it, it wasn't until I was back through the door where my anxiety levels and stuff dropped, because it's like, right, no one's here, no one's
Yeah.
going to point anything out, that's it, like blah blah blah.
The constant management, isn't it? The constant management of, right, is someone going to notice I'm going bald here? Like literally just like all through all those daily activities. Yeah, constant management of it. Yeah.
Even like, but it's the same thing. It's like people don't understand. Like it's the exact same. Like again, you like, even like when you're in school or like in an office, like somebody in an office would turn around and go, oh, like you're balding at the back, but you wouldn't turn around to someone and go, geez, you're getting a bit fat. But
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's the same
yeah,
thing. It's
yeah.
pointing out an insecurity. Like obviously, like no one's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going bald. It looks great, doesn't it? No,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It's not some like finger pointing thing that people think. Like, why would you point
Yeah.
out somebody? Clearly, they're not going to feel good about it.
Do you think because like the whole thing of like putting on a brave face, you know, putting on a thing like, oh yeah, I'm losing my hair, but this doesn't affect me, when really inside you're like,
course,
you know,
yeah.
really a crime. Do you think that is what's leading, or is what's led to people kind of assuming like, oh, it's not on the same level as like, you know, someone being really overweight or someone having like some kind of disfigurement or something like that, you know, because it does seem like this thing about losing your hair is seen as an okay thing to like joke about and to like poke fun at. Do you know what I mean?
That's, I think the only people joking about it are the people who aren't going through it.
Yeah.
Really think like people think men have this kind of like barrier of like they
Yeah,
can
that's
take
what I'm
shit.
talking. Yeah.
Like they
That's
can
what I
just
mean.
take, oh, it doesn't matter what you say, they'll take it and they'll go home and they won't cry about it. Like, well, we do. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like as I said to you before, I remember telling you this in the first time we chat. Like, I actually used to phone in work sick if I couldn't get my like hair in the right position, like and sit in the right place. And you would say that to somebody, go, oh, that's ridiculous. But I'm like, well, it's not, because that's like mentally, like that's what this type of stuff can do to men.
Yeah.
And but then it's like you would, but even like especially you'll know as well, like people who are going through like through the process, it's like you don't know what we've went through to leave
Yeah.
the house mentally. Like
Yeah.
people break down in the bathroom and stuff. People like her like they
Yeah.
struggle so hard to cross the
Oh
door,
yeah.
and you're gonna go, they're gonna go to work, and the first thing you're gonna say is, "Ha, you're balding."
Yeah.
That's like them. They're like, they just want
Yeah.
to go cry. Like I can
Yeah.
promise you, like that's like they just want to like go and break down and.
And I think I think, you know, it's that a big part of it is, again, you know, because the whole world of losing your hair and stuff is so like secretive. Like, you know, you said yourself, like this wasn't stuff that you wanted to like announce and talk to everyone about.
No.
And you know, I was the exact same. Even with like my own dad, who was a bald guy, he had been forever. I still didn't want to go to him and be like, Dad, I'm losing my hair and it's really cutting me up. Like I'm not enjoying myself in things I'm doing because I'm losing my hair. You know, I didn't want to admit that like vulnerability.
You don't want to admit it. It's
yeah,
like,
you don't want to admit it.
I still, to this day, I've never said to somebody straight up, I'm losing my hair. I never said it beforehand. And even like as exact same situation with your dad, my dad's the same, but I would never have thought to go to him because then it would like almost like the part of you would just, you just feel like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm feeling inside?
You don't want to admit to that weakness and things like that, I guess, or perceived weakness. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it's because we don't, you know, we're not, people aren't sharing it, aren't talking about it, that people then kind of just assume that, oh, there's no issue then. It's just an issue of looks, or, oh, you're losing your hair, you're not losing your hair. They don't kind of understand what's behind it. And I can only assume that that is a big part, a big reason for it. And so that's why I'm so, grateful and continue to like try and put these things out there, and share. When I do the videos of guys kind of like taking the leap, I always include those conversations, before and after, because for me that's the important bit. The eye-catching bit is when his fresh new look or whatever, but what the bit that actually means something is
the struggle.
It's the struggle and how this person felt, and just keeping it 100% real, and I'm hoping by continuing to do that, more people are going to kind of understand it and kind of realize the whole journey with it, so that's why I'm grateful to have this opportunity to speak to you about it and things like that. I suppose in terms of advice, looking back, do you have any for like maybe some other people?
It varies for the kind of position people are in their life, obviously. Like first time somebody called me out on it when I didn't even know was when I was 16 in school, and then from that day, every day was like a worry, like every single day, every day. Some days I was like more confident about it because it looked good, and other days it was horrendous. As I said, I used to call in sick when I went to work and stuff, like because I couldn't go in physically, like emotionally I was distraught. I think like when obviously I wrestled before, it was putting me off doing everything, and because I was never worried about performing in front of like a couple hundred people, it was always like, geez, people are going to see like for this, and like they're going to take photos, and I'm going to look back the next day and feel like total shit, and then I'll never want to do it again. But then I had to push through that barrier because I knew I loved it to do it again. And that was probably the worst point in my life, was when it was just before like I quit wrestling. I was just like I was in the worst position like about work and stuff. I just hated everything, and this just like made everything else 10 times worse. But like with wrestling, I dedicated like a third of my life to it, and for it all to be taken away by like just being super self-conscious. Nobody wants to be like the bald friend, the bald guy, like a minority. But for me, it's like if it was affecting your life like that much, like with me, it's like I took a break from like wrestling and stuff. Like I had to get away, because if I kept on doing it, I would never have got rid of it. If that makes sense, because it was a constant worry. But if you come like away from that situation, give like mentally, just give yourself like a break, and then eventually like I kind of worked my way up to like kind of rebuilding like myself back to be able to do it. Trust your process, because eventually you will get rid of it, you will overcome it. Because like as much as like the anxiety of the jokes and stuff happen, it's like if you're losing your hair, if you're like receding and you're worried about people making a comment, then if you totally under your own control, like if you be the one to say like, I've shaved my hair off, what are like your mates and stuff actually going to say? Like, oh, you were balding, but now you don't have any hair, so now we can't say anything. Kind of overcome like yourself and just be like nah, like you don't have control of losing your hair, but you've got control to shave it off, And I can like promise like everybody this, like once that worry of people like realizing gone, like once you just put it out there, it's like you can't feel anxious about it, because it's out there, and it's like people will see it, but they're not gonna.
There's nothing left.
Nobody walks past and goes, "Oh, he's bald." It's funny actually, because just getting over like stuff. Before I would have never thought to do this, but like I'm going to America to live for 3 months in August and stuff, and it's like normally before I'd be like, "Oh shit!" Like it's going to be like rainy there. It's going to be windy. Like it's going to be this. I can't do this with it. This I can't do, like. But now it's like I can go over there and fully enjoy myself, because I'm not going to have this like burden every day when I wake up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like I'm doing something where 2 years ago when I did do it, I was constantly worrying about my hair and stuff. But now I get to do that and not have this worry, so I can actually now finally like fully enjoy
it. Yeah,
kind of game changer, really. That's why like I'm looking forward to it so much, because I know I'm not going to have this feeling, so I can actually be myself though.
Fully enjoy it.
Yeah,
dude, it's great to see, because
yeah, too, man.
The first time we spoke, I could tell that you were definitely going through it, and you'd had a lot of those experiences that I can very vividly recall myself. Just when it takes away from like enjoyment, I think that's the time when you got to look like, right, I need to take a big action on this and like to gain that control back. So no, seriously, man, it's great to see, and I'm really pleased.